Welcome to the It's in Queens podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and this is the only podcast that focuses on Queens, the borough that has it all. This podcast comes to you each week thanks to the Queens Tourism Council and the Queens Economic Development Corporation. Together, they work tirelessly to showcase Queens as a destination, one that's filled with experiences like arts, culture, sports, business, you name it. And there are opportunities for everyone, whether you live here, you work here, or you're visiting from near or far. Now, growing up, I was absolutely captivated by collector's cards like Wacky Packs and comic books. I know I'm dating myself here. They were my escape, my source of wonder, my gateway into incredible worlds filled with heroes and villains and adventures. I vividly remember collecting every issue of Mad Magazine and laughing at its sharp satire and quirky humor, alongside titles like Archie Comics, which brought Riverdale's charming characters to life. And of course, I couldn't get enough of superhero comics like Batman and Captain America, figures that have stood the test of time as symbols of justice and resilience. But sadly, my childhood collection did not survive. My family eventually tossed them out during a cleanup, but I digress. Even now, whenever I'm on vacation and I come across a shop selling comic books or even record stores with old vinyl records, I just can't resist stepping inside and I get lost inside. There's something truly magical about flipping through vintage issues or discovering hidden gems among the stacks. It's a nostalgic ritual that brings me back to those early days of excitement and imagination. This week's guest shares that same love for comics, but has taken it to an entirely new level. Michael Raphael is the owner of Spineworks Comics NYC, a business that's dedicated not just to selling comics, but also reviving and restoring them for collectors and fans alike. Spineworks Comics specializes in pressing and cleaning comic books, essentially giving them new life while preserving their value for generations to come. Michael's passion for comics shines through in every aspect of his business, whether he's helping customers restore their prized collections or sharing his expertise on rare finds. Located in Middle Village, Spineworks Comics has become a haven for comic book enthusiasts who want to preserve their treasures or simply revel in the art form's rich history. So that's why this week I'm thrilled to be joined by Michael to discuss his career and his love of comic books. Mike Raphael, welcome to the It's in Queens podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's start off by talking about your journey because you started with a completely different career before founding Spineworks Comics during the pandemic. It's really inspiring. So talk about the moment you decided it was time to take that leap.
Well, I mean, they say necessity is the mother of all invention, and Spineworks Comics was no exception to the rule. I had been gainfully employed for about 13 years in security, logistics, building management. Had a great job. I was on the road all the time, and finally met someone to settle down, my current wife. And I had to take a job working for a very nice family-owned company that had some great contracts with five-star hotels in New York, Miami, and Chicago. Life was going great. Everything was fantastic. Wedding went out without a hitch. And then found out we were pregnant. And then about 2 weeks later, we hear about this sickness coming in. And like many other people, you thought, all right, well, it's sensationalized. It's going to be something that they're blowing up about, a whole lot of to do. And then, it'll be fine. It'll be like every other scare we've had, the bird flu scare, the swine flu scare. No one, I don't think, was expecting it to be what it was. Then we had the great toilet paper rush of 2020. And things kind of spiraled out of control from there. Unfortunately, the outfit that I was working with, many of the contracts were canceled. So obviously there was no money coming in, and finding out we were just expecting was not ideal, to say the least. So my buddy Lenny and I, who had been comic collectors for most of our lives, had been pressing and cleaning comics kind of just as part of our hobby, collecting, doing our books, friends of ours, even for some local sellers and dealers in exchange for favorable pricing for comic books. Because as anyone can tell you who's in this hobby, it is not cheap. It's enjoyable, and there's any number of entry-level positions that you can be in. But by and large, for the higher-end collectors, it's just not cheap. So he called me up one day, and he's like, I don't know how long this COVID thing is going to last. And I'm sitting here like, well, yeah, I don't know either. So he said, "Do you think we should try to do this comic thing for real?" I was like, "Well, everybody else is stuck in the house too, and the collectibles market was going insane. I mean, it was fueled by any number of things from the government money that was being given out. A lot of people attribute it to that. I think a lot of people were just looking for something positive to hold on to, and I think nostalgia was one of those things. And comic books, collectibles, cards, toys, and all these things filled that gap and gave people that little bit of security blanket that they needed. Do you remember like Peanuts and Linus with the security
Mm-hmm.
blanket? That was Linus's blanket. And from there, we were like, all right, well, we could try it. So it started in my basement. He started in his house, and he actually still owns the Spineworks in Florida. So we have the location in New York, and then we have one in Florida as well in Orlando. And it was not something we thought was going to be forever. We thought it's going to be a 3-month stint till this all blows over, and then we'll go back to work. Who knew 6 months later, 7 months later, we'd still be coveting. And yes, I have turned that into a verb, coveting. And it just became the reality. Hey, we might have to do this for real. So we reached out to some people in the YouTube community. And the one thing I will say about collectors, most I would say the comic community, very tight-knit group of people. And for a bunch of introverts, I'll tell you what, they have a big heart behind the scenes. So some YouTube guys named Three Men in a Basement, they're based out of Connecticut, had heard about us, and Lenny and this gentleman, Otto, had been going back and forth. They invited us up to Connecticut to meet with them. We all hit it off, became great friends. We're all still great friends to the day. And they basically promoted us to the rest of the comic collecting community. These are some new guys pressing and cleaning books out of New York and Florida. Give them a try. And the rest, as they say, was history. The first order we ever got was an AF-15, which is an Amazing Fantasy 15, which is the first appearance of Spider-Man, easily a five-figure dollar book, and a whole box of equally expensive comics for our first order.
Now, what I'd love to know is what makes your business unique when you compare yourself, you look at other similar businesses, how does Spineworks differentiate itself?
I think a couple of things. One, we actually do all of our pressing and cleaning in-house. So we have a brick and mortar location that people are more than welcome to come to. We give you a consultation. We could sit down with you, look at all your books together, try to establish which books are worth doing, which books are not worth doing. And what I'm trying to do is bring in that business experience that I had and try to apply it to the comic book world. I love the comic book dealers that we deal with. I love all the sellers. I love all the shops. But there's an element that sometimes is not there when you've not done business, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to incorporate some of that into what we do. So we try to create a very personable atmosphere, a very professional atmosphere. And I don't want people to spend money they don't have to. It's very important to us that you're happy with what you do with us. And I'd like to say I'm more careful with other people's money than with my own.
And my trust is very important. It's at the heart of your business model. How do you build that trust?
Sorry, excuse me, it's a little dusty in here.
I got you choked out. I got you choked out.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, the memories. But anywho, all right. So it was tough, and a lot of it was going to be word of mouth. I mean, when I tell you the very first order we gave had about $60,000 worth of comics in a single box. I called up my buddy in Florida. I was like, all right, I know we wanted to do this. I was expecting maybe a couple $10 books, maybe some $20 books. I was like, get your butt up here, fly up here. We have to do this together because either this is going to make us or we're going down to the loony bin together. And that's what it's going to be. So he flew up and we sat there looking at it like, well, this is trial by fire. So either we're going to make a name for ourselves or we are going to owe this guy a whole lot of money that we don't have. And so we carefully worked on these books. We did very well for them. And then obviously when the results came back, it went onto YouTube. It spread like wildfire. And next thing you know, there were people from all over the country sending us books to my basement, which was interesting. So my wife thought I was buying comics and she was like, I'm going to kill you. How are you spending all this money? I'm like, no, these are not for me. I didn't buy these. She's like, well, what are they? I was like, these are people sending us comics to fix. She's like, all right, well, go to work. That's what you have a basement for. So I was in my basement for a good 3 to 4 months. Then I graduated to the living room. And then after the kid was born, there was no more of that. She was like, you need to move your one-man show out of here. So I took on a couple proteges, well, two of which who are still with me. And we started working in my house until one day, this gentleman named Michael Carbonaro, who is the founder of the Big Apple Comic Con, who has been selling comics long before I was born. And in fact, an odd twist of fate, rather, he sold me my very first comic book that I bought with my own money when I was 13 years old. And
Wow.
he became one of our customers. And he's like, I have this space in Middle Village. There's a front room. If you want to get out of your house and your wife wants to, preserve your marriage, come here, work out of this space, throw us a couple bucks or press some books for us and we'll work it out. So he got me out of my house, brought us into this space. And I have to say, I owe a lot of what we are now to him. We can't be any more grateful. The support from the comic community, the support from Carbonaro, and the hard work of my team really brought us to where we are today.
And, Spineworks is more than just a service. You keep using the word community. You're a community hub. What will community play in your vision for the business?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is that I remember how comics affected my life. I grew up in South Ozone Park, not in the best of areas there. And I remember comics were one thing that kept me out of trouble. It was a moral compass for a lot of kids who grew up reading them. And I would love to try to see the resurgence of comic books among young readers and young fans. We've lost so many kids to the digital world, to the phones, to the screens. And I think a lot of the messaging and a lot of the great things about being a comic reader and a comic fan that helped to shape a lot of young minds and a lot of people's lives have just been lost. We're tweeting, we're Snapchatting, we're TikToking. It's 147 characters or 30-second videos. And I think that's having such a big influence on this young generation that I think a resurgence of comics and some of the good that it did bring is not only would be great for business, obviously, but I think would do a lot for society again. So what we're trying to do is get the kids involved. When people come into our shop, location, boutique, whatever you want to call it, we don't let kids walk out here without a handful of comics, and they're not paying for it. I mean, every kid that walks in here gets spoiled. I want them to be happy. You hear a lot of things about going into comic shops, and you think of the Simpsons guy. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what people envision a lot of times. But when you walk in here, it's a different experience. And again, that's what we want to provide, not just the service, but the experience. Everyone who comes in here will talk to us for like an hour about the most random things. And we go from comics to what they're buying, to what they're dropping off, to what we're working on for them, to their lives. So we're getting to know people, in the community. And when I say that, I mean in the local community, within the collecting community. And now we have friends and, dare I say, family from here to California. And it's all from comics and for the love of it. And I think it's a great way for people to make friends, to find inroads, and to just have something that people can enjoy.
And you give back to the community. You hold a series of events. I'd love for you to highlight a few that are on the horizon.
Sure. Well, one of the biggest events for Comicdom is Free Comic Book Day, which is May the 3rd. Spineworks will be open that day from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to have a really long day. It's a day where you can come in, get free comic books, have a big discount on stuff that we have here for sale, but most importantly, bring the family. Like bring the kids in. It doesn't matter. We will have something for everyone. We are going to also be obviously giving a lot of comics away. That's a big thing, the Free Comic Book Day. But we'll have discounts. So dad, mom, if you have comic books you want to get worked on, that will also be discounted. And it's a good day just to get to reach out and to know people. There is also another secret project, although I will reveal a bit of it here, and you'll get to break it, I guess. We're talking to a grading company, and until the ink dries, I'm not allowed to say which one. But what we're looking to do is do a young creators program where we're going to have kids come in, probably a group of 10 at a time. We're going to purchase art supplies for them. We're going to get blank comic books, which are comic books with no cover art, and we're going to let them draw their own covers. We're going to supply all the materials for them. We're going to give them crayons, watercolor, colored pencils, markers, and just have a day out of it. And when the books are done, they're going to be able to get them graded with their little names as the cover artists on the graded comic book slab themselves as a keepsake.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. You're drawing people into the business, but for some people, it may seem so overwhelming, the sheer volume of titles. For anyone who's a newcomer that steps into the shop, what type of advice would you give them about how to even enter this world?
We try to stress value, and the first thing to do is to get them in at a safe entry point. Like it's hard to break into the hardcore collecting, when you're priced out of things. So you need a good entry point to get into. I recommend trade paperbacks. I would suggest different arcs from characters. An arc is a story within a series, rather. Usually anywhere from 3 to 5 books that tell a full story. Sometimes they go crazy and it could be like 20 books, but we won't get into that. And then we don't want to inundate people with too much yet. But there's like classic stories that people love, like Secret Wars, like Civil War, DC Crisis, just great storytelling that can be done in 2 to 3 issues. And we try to steer you towards that first. Then from there, you can figure out what kind of character you're into, what kind of stories are you into. And a lot of that you can ascertain just by talking to people. Hey, are you into Superman, Batman? Everyone knows who they are. And then from there, you can kind of branch off and figure out what they're into. But there is a comic book for everyone, whether it is superheroes, whether it is mystery, whether it's science, aliens. I'm a huge aliens guy. Huge. UFOs. The one thing I would say I'm more obsessed with than comic books is the UFO phenomena, or UAPs, if you will, however you want to refer to it. And there's comic books for that. Horror fans, you name it, there's something. And I think having a good mental database of the different, titles that there are, the different genres, to be able to guide people towards the right place, it's not as hard as you think. But you have to have that mental Rolodex ready to go, and you don't want to have too much dead air.
Growing up, what was your favorite comic?
Oh, Batman. I am a Batman guy. I remember with my grandfather, we used to watch the Adam West show. And then, of course, you had Super Friends. And, it was the height of Saturday morning cartoons. And I would watch Superman and Batman. But I always loved Batman the most because he was just cool to me. Other kids liked Spider-Man, and Superman was great, and he could fly. But Batman had a lot of cool toys. And I liked gadgets, and I liked science. I wasn't smart enough at 4 years old or 5 years old to read Iron Man and understand it. But Batman was pretty much drawn to the point where you could be, a kindergartner and you could just look at the pictures and it tells the story. So I've been a hardcore Batman fan pretty much my whole life.
And before I let you go, Mike, please let our listeners know where they should go if they want to learn more about Spineworks.
Absolutely. You can check out our website at www.spineworkscomicsnyc.com, but we'd rather have you here in person. So you can always come down to 74-10 69th Road, Middle Village, New York, 11379. If you want to come in, if you've never bought a comic or you have comics, you want someone to look at them, you don't know what to do with them, and we will be more than happy to sit down with you, talk about them, let you know what you have, and hopefully guide you in the right place that you will fall in love with them all over again.
And on that note, I want to thank you so much, Mike Raphael, owner of Spineworks Comics in the city, for being here on the It's in Queens podcast.
Jeff, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you having me.
Spineworks Comics is a space that not only preserves the past, but also inspires future generations to appreciate the art and storytelling of comics. So whether you're looking to restore a treasured issue or simply browse through their selection, Spineworks Comics NYC is a must-visit destination for anyone who loves comics. So get out there, go explore. And if you're looking for something else to do this month, or really any month, we always have you covered here at the It's in Queens podcast. That's where Rob Mackay comes in, because he's with the Queens Tourism Council and the Queens Economic Development Corporation. And each and every week, he brings us details on some of the more dynamic events that are happening in Queens. Here's this week's report.
Well, hello, everybody. Please excuse my raspy voice, but the pollen is absolutely killing me. I have something today for everyone who has a sweet tooth and, of course, is at least 21 years old. A place called Tipsy Scoop is kicking off its boozy ice cream cocktail classics in Astoria on April 12th. These are 90-minute sessions, and they teach students how to make such products as vanilla bean bourbon, cake batter vodka martini, spiked hazelnut coffee, mango margarita sorbet, and strawberry white sangria sorbet. Each class costs about $70, and it includes a welcoming drink and a keepsake glass. Now, they all start at noon, and after the first session, which is April 12th, there are other ones on April 26th, May 3rd, and May 10th. Now, you might be asking, what is this Tipsy Scoop place, and what are we talking about? Well, Tipsy Scoop is located in Astoria on 3815 23rd Avenue. It all dates back to a woman named Melissa Tavs, who founded Tipsy Scoop as a catering business in 2014. She descends from an Italian immigrant to Scotland who made homemade ice cream that he sold via pushcart in Glasgow. It's become a family tradition after his children's got involved, and now Melissa in Queens, who has a master's degree in integrated marketing from NYU, has added alcohol to the tradition, and she now has what she calls a bar lore, not a parlor, kind of a bar, known as Tipsy Scoop in Astoria, where she sells ice cream with alcohol in it. So that's it. Hope to see you at some of those events, Jeff. Thanks to all.
Thanks, Rob. That's just a few of the things that are happening in the borough. And the place to go to discover and explore everything that's on the horizon is at the It's in Queens website. And that website address, you're not going to forget it, is itsinqueens.com. And by the way, if you're interested in more business news, how to help your business or friends, well then head right over to the Queens Economic Development Corporation's website at queensny.org. And when you're there, or when you visit the itsinqueens.com website, sign up for their newsletters, and that way you'll get notified right in your inbox about opportunities. And when you visit any place in Queens, including Spineworks, please snap a photo or two and share them with us on social media. Make sure to use the hashtag #It'sInQueens when you post on Instagram or X, because your photo could become our photo of the week. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and that's it for this week's It's in Queens podcast.